McLaren's call on Sunday sparked a debate that hasn't cooled down. Oscar Piastri stayed calm on the radio and in parc fermé, but every comment since has carried the same message. He feels he did nothing wrong and he resents paying for another man's bad luck. He's not alone in that. Mark Webber has been open about what he sees as rising favoritism, and with his experience, he notices those signs fast. Damon Hill also weighed in, and the reaction his words drew from fans showed this is bigger than one slow wheel nut. On paper, the sequence looked clear, but in practice, it was messy. Lando Norris ran second behind Max Verstappen. McLaren wanted to stop both cars late with Oscar Piastri first to cover Charles Leclerc. Over radio, Will Joseph told Norris there would be no undercut. Norris asked the obvious question. Joseph confirmed, and the plan was locked. Piastri pitted and hit a 1.9-second stop. Norris followed but lost 4 seconds with a sticky front left. He came out behind his teammate. In sporting terms, that is racing. In contractual terms, McLaren had already said the order would stay the same. The next step caused the flashpoint. Tom Stallard told Piastri to give the place back. Piastri's reply was sharp. They had agreed. Slow stops were part of racing, so what had changed? Still, he complied, which says a lot. A young driver fighting for a title may swallow frustration for the bigger goal, but it lingers. Andrea Stella later said the move was about sticking to principles. The stops had been planned to protect the team's interest, not to swap positions. Since the slow stop reversed them, putting Norris back into second was, in Stella's words, the fair call. Then let them race. Take McLaren at its word, and this was about trust. Norris was promised no undercut, and the team had to stick with that promise even after bad luck struck. From a racer's view, this was about risk and reward. Piastri and his crew delivered, and the clock paid them. A 4-second loss is part of the sport, just like sudden wins or late virtual safety cars. The gap between those two arguments will shape how this story looks a month from now. Fans were not split evenly. Hill teased the team order with a story from 1,993 and ran a poll. Most said they did not like the decision. Jokes aside, that result matches many gut reactions. Team orders are accepted when a title fight demands it or when strategy is crystal clear, but they frustrate people when they blunt a result that happened on merit. Stella's defense has been consistent. He said pitting Piastri first and holding Norris was due to race control risk and Ferrari coverage. He added both drivers had been told the sequencing would not change track position. In that light, putting Norris back ahead was not a gift, but a reset to the baseline the team had set. He also said the team will review the rules both for slow stops alone and for pit sequencing and make sure the drivers are aligned. That means the book is still being written. The standings add fuel. Piastri left Monza with his lead cut to 31 points with 8 races left. It's still a solid margin, but the tone shifted. When a driver loses 3 points after a clean, sharp Sunday, the mental edge shrinks. That's where Webber's view carries weight. He remembers the worst of this story, even saying, "Not bad for a number." He knows how small moments can build into patterns of favoritism, whether fair or not. So when he says the gap does not show how much control Piastri really has, he is arguing for technical respect, not national pride. Norris, for his part, tried to ease the tension before it grew. He pushed back on claims that his mentality is weak, admitted he respects the harder edge of drivers like Verstappen, and made clear he wants to win his own way. That honesty is part of why things have stayed calm inside McLaren. Piastri is measured. Norris shows more emotion. Both are quick enough to beat the other on any Sunday. When two talents overlap that closely, the team survives or falls on how well it explains the boundaries before the lights go out. This is where fans often split. People look for villains. Webber is bitter advisor, Norris is favoured son, Piastri is cheated champion, McLaren as principled or scheming. The truth is less dramatic and more fragile. A team in a title fight needs rules both drivers see as equal. The second one feels the balance has shifted, performance drops even if the data says otherwise. You do not need a bad guy to see the danger in Sunday's choice. Jacques Villeneuve's view adds perspective. He said Webber is an asset for Piastri because he knows the politics of chasing a title next to a star teammate. The Australian story adds even more weight. Piastri has already tied Webber's 9 wins and passed Ricciardo's 8. He is now chasing Alan Jones and Jack Brabham. At the same time, he is fighting for his first world title and aiming to become the first non-European world champion since Villeneuve. in 1997. That history will affect every late season decision. When you're writing history live, every team order feels heavier than one earlier in the year. McLaren cannot ignore that. They must turn confusion into clarity. So, what principle works? If you promise no undercut and a pit error changes the order, do you restore it or let the race decide? There is no answer that makes everyone happy. The best way is to set the rule early, write it down, tell both drivers, and apply it equally. If that happened at Monza, McLaren can defend it. If it was unclear or too late, they will face the consequences. The next steps are easy to see. Piastri will say the right things and keep his points. Norris will say he has moved on from Zandvoort and keep fighting. The team will review and call it procedural. Then Qatar will bring its own drama, and the system will be tested again. That is why Sunday was bigger than just 3 points. It was a test of the trust inside the garage. If both drivers still believe it is fair, McLaren continues with 2 strong weapons. If doubt sets in, the title fight becomes harder than it needs to be. Strip away the noise, and one key tension remains. Pure racing rewards execution and accepts luck. Team management rewards promises and avoids risk. The best teams balance both in a way their drivers can trust. McLaren says they did that, but Piastri's tone suggests he is not convinced. Webber's instincts suggest he will stay cautious, and polls show fans are not fully convinced either. The next 8 races will decide which story holds true. For now, the focus is on McLaren's ability to stay consistent. Titles are not only won on speed, but on trust between driver and team. Every instruction, every pit call, every promise matters when margins are this small. How McLaren handles the next few weeks will shape not just the standings, but the culture inside the garage. The lesson from Sunday is simple. The fastest way to calm a storm is not soft words. It is to publish the rule, commit before the race, and prove it applies both ways. Do that, and McLaren's stance looks strong. Fail, and the echoes of Monza will last until Abu Dhabi. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below.